Yeah, thank you.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming. Have a seat, please. Silence your cell phones. Where's my agenda? Okay. Public hearing on the budget adoption or open for 2024 budget.
Budget adoption, the only adjustments made from the preliminary hearing were we dropped the lit for public safety down to meet the cash flow required amount we needed. That took down our total budget by about $30,000. That's the only change.
Thank you.
Point of information, if I may, please.
Yes, sir.
So, Madam Clerk Treasurer, knowing what your job is, can you share what your best estimate is going to happen to the property tax rate with what we're realizing nothing's final until the DLGF gets done with their thing, but can you just kind of share what you anticipate might happen with the tax rate?
At this point in time, we're anticipating a 0.25% drop.
Thank you. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Anybody else on the council? Okay. We'll close the budget adoption meeting, public meeting for 2024 adoption. Open up the rezoning request for Leo Holding LLC, 22.32 acres on State Road 1, 15,500 block of Leo Road. Anybody sign up to talk? Come on up, please. No one?
I live right down the road from this place, and, we all got acre lots. And I don't really want to see anything much smaller than that. Because all you're gonna do is just bring in a bunch of people. Our schools are getting full. There's a major concern, and to me, I don't want it all cluttered up.
May I ask your name, sir?
Tim Longer,
Thank you.
I live about a quarter mile away from this thing. And I bought crap when I seen the sign.
If I may, can I sign in?
Yeah.
Okay. So, my name is Tim Richards. I have been on the town council, stormwater committee, and now the planning commission. So let me finish signing in so I can address everybody. So the one comment I would make, just in kind of a response to that. So I've been here since 2003, and I moved to Leo because I love the idea of moving to a small town, and didn't want to see it grow. And so I was happy with the moratorium on building there for a while, as we increase sewer capacity and all that good stuff. The one thing that I've learned throughout all the meetings that we've had on the comprehensive plan and different subdivisions and all that good stuff is the part about the schools, right? And so I've had a lot of people, educators, engineers, consultants, name it. The one thing that has come out repeatedly is that you need growth for your schools. So do they seem overcrowded? At times, yes. The great thing about Leo is none of us want to leave. I don't have kids in the Leo school system anymore. We're a couple years out of it. We're going to stay, right? And the problem with that is if everybody stays, nobody moves, nobody puts their houses up for sale, then your student enrollment's going to drop because there won't be houses for new families to move into, right? And so the schools are part of what make our community great. And so from that aspect, I would just share that we need some growth. It needs to be manageable, right? We can't go crazy, and we got to be responsible in the way that we approve these things. But just from the school standpoint, it's important to have some growth. So I just want to throw that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Anybody else sign up?
I didn't sign up, but may I?
Yeah, come on up and sign up, John.
Good evening. My name is Robert Tonkel. I'm a retired teacher from Leo. I retired about a year ago. And Leo's school's going on through a lot of renovations on AC and everything else. But the one thing, I taught at Leo for 27 years, physics and chemistry. We've never added a classroom, okay, since the last time they added on to the junior high. And that's been 20 years ago,
98.
okay? Huh?
It was 1998 or 99 is when they
Yeah,
got it.
okay, so that's the last time we've added any classrooms, okay? I've sat in with chemistry class with 42 students, crammed in such that I couldn't walk between the rows. And that's not an effective teaching method. Going back to this, which is the subject, I oppose any R3s. I wanted R1s. I agree that we need a certain amount of growth, but we need some communication of East Allen County schools. I personally, and I voiced this with the superintendent stuff, my solution is 2 bulldozers on each side and take it down and start over. Okay, there's so many pieces that's been added on and stuff that it's a problem. And they're spending over $2 million right now to paint, facade, and look good stuff. There's not a single classroom. How many students are going to be in there? Okay, where are they going to go? And I don't oppose the subdivision. I live across the river from it, and I like looking at the cornfield. My bees like the cornfield. I like the fact that there's trees and stuff, and there's not docks and stuff that I got to look at, and I worry about if that's going to be there. But that's fine. If it's all R1 and that's what it's going to be, I'll live with that. That's okay. Change happens. Okay, but I'd like to keep it all R1. Okay, and I think somebody ought to be talking to the schools. I know you guys talk to the schools. Okay, because I've offered input when Dr. Brown was there, Hauser's there and stuff, and I know they have an open door. Okay, but talk to the superintendent. She's awesome. There's no room. Okay, you're going to add students. Where are you going to put them? And then, you know, we got a place for a new school, but if you started today, it'll be 3 or 4 years before it's there. I've talked enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Anybody else sign up?
Yeah, I spoke earlier, Clay Wheeland, I live just right across. I guess I just need to put it into the record again, because that was the planning board, right?
Yes, sir.
So before I recognized some of you were still there. Was everyone here for that meeting? You guys there, so you heard all this?
We heard it. We definitely heard it.
And so I just want to say again that my concern is for the plan is for the plan. You know, we could R1, R2, whatever. And I also realize that, you know, all of us, I mean, we're Leo. This is Leo. And really, we're all at a disadvantage because we don't work with this stuff all the time like you guys do. I mean, you know, zoning, you know all the reasons backwards and forwards from a bunch of different options, and we don't really know them as well as you guys do. So we really can't articulate it in a way that's probably going to really nail it, hit the nail. But I think as Leo, we're just a little bit concerned of a drift from the planning that had taken place before. Yeah, and someone said that the master plan was maybe a little fanciful or whatever, but it was a beautiful plan, and it's pretty much R1, and I don't know, and especially with now that you're moving north of the creek, I mean, there's thousands of acres to be developed now, and everyone's thinking about it, me included. You just have to. I mean, you own land out here, you live out here, you've got to think, okay, it's changing, how do we stay with it? How do we maximize it? And I think that, I mean, this has created this interest, it's there. The concerns are there, and whatever we do here, I would encourage you to go back and revisit the master planning process, and just how beautiful that was, and it would just, I think, relax us a bit to work on the plan rather than one specific project.
Thank you, Blaine.
Stuart Hepler. I live just down the way on Cedarville 1. And I've been, my name's Owen.
Okay.
Yep, been part of the planning commission and the zoning board in the past. I think I echo the sentiments of what's been said here tonight. We can't sort of halt development. There's a balance that's needed there. But the reality is the property values in this town are already sky high. So even if you cram more houses in, those aren't going to necessarily be super affordable. So I really would lean towards seeing you approve an R1 type of zoning with limited lots. And I feel like the comments about the school are correct. My daughter's a sophomore. There's no room in that school. So even if we cram more houses in there, where are those people, those students going to go? If anything, it might be good to sort of see it come down a little bit. People are moving to Leo, but maybe there does need to be a sense of, we can't put any more students in here, there's just not availability until we have some time to build out some more subdivisions with some appropriate spacing. I just would say, what kind of community do we want to be? Do we want to have small subdivisions just crammed on top of each other? There's an example of that over in Grayville. I don't think that looks great. Houses just stacked right next to each other. So I would encourage you to make the right decision and move towards an R1 designation. Thank you.
Right
So
here.
there.
Please share your name too, please, when you get done signing it. Okay. Live on Berkey Drive, I think, right?
I do. I live on Berkey Drive, but this world's not my home, so
What's
it's
your
not.
name, ma'am?
Pardon?
Your name?
Marlise Stiglitz.
Thank you.
And I do live on Berkey Drive, and I've been there 30 years. I'm a warrior, though, so I don't have tons of, like, whatever. My mom was a graduate of Leo, but what I will say is that we're talking, this was a R1, and they're asking for R3. And during the planning committee, it was said, well, they looked at the plan, and Matea Park had 3s, so obviously the planning must have okayed 3s. Well, they okayed, number one, they okayed 3s there. But they also made a plan, for some reason, they thought in laying out that they wanted R1s. I don't think that because they put an R3 somewhere in the town that they think everything should be R1s. And to not even consider R2s is, I think, kind of short-sighted. I don't distrust Mr. Kuhn at all. I believe that he will do what he said he will do. But when you make a precedent, is the town committee going to get everybody to sign that? If he goes down to an R3, that goes down to an R3. And Mr. Whelan wants to sell his property. Now what happens there? Does that become an R3 because he had an R3? And maybe Mr. Whelan isn't willing to, sorry, I don't want to throw you under the bus. Maybe he isn't willing to throw that. I mean, I think the best thing I think that is said is that this isn't really about this land. And I'm not going to be here that long. I can guarantee you I'm not going to be there that long for it to bother me. It's not going to bother me. Whatever you decide tonight, I'm going to sleep fine tonight. But we need to think beyond this property. That's what you guys need to think. That's what we vote you in for, is to take care of it. And I get really frustrated sometimes that we vote in and we think we know what we voted, and as soon as we vote them in, it's more of the same. And so that's my point, is that to not even be talking about an R2, I think, is short-sighted. And to say because we have R3s in the town of Leo, obviously it's okay to have R3s everywhere. I don't think that's the case. It's not gonna make me any difference. It isn't. Right now, I have a field behind me. Mr. Schlatter sells it off, I might have houses behind me. Well, you know, it's an upper opportunity. But I think it's short-sighted, so that's all I can say.
Thank you.
Can I speak?
Did you sign up? Yeah.
Yeah, I signed up.
Yeah.
So I'm Justin Kuhn, I'm the developer, and first off, thank you guys for coming out tonight. I understand your concerns. I live in Hicksville, Ohio. I had a similar incident come in. Power company bought a bunch of ground across the street, wanted to put power poles in. It was the end of the world. I was in all the meetings just like you guys. So first off, I understand why you're here. This is my first development, and I'm learning as I go. And I don't understand, and I'm asking, we have the zoning, we have R1, and we have R2, and we have R3, and there's minimum setbacks and measurements. And the gentleman spoke earlier and talked about the price of housing in Leo. This is very expensive. I agree. It's very expensive. I don't know if people can afford R1. R1 are bigger lots, bigger homes. That's even more money. I'm not looking to pack in a Grayville down the road here. What I'm asking is there a way the community can work together and look at each piece of property and see like this? Here, like I've said in my last speak, I'm asking for R3, but it's really not. I'm not trying to pack in 9,000 square foot lots. I mean, I think he did the calculation, you could end up getting 65 lots in there. That's not my intention whatsoever. My intention is to build a nice, beautiful development for your community with 38 lots. So, as we're talking about the master plan and looking out farther, is there a way that this group and the plan commission can assess each property and look at it and what's the best growth for Leo? I mean, just because there's R1, R2, R3, what really is that? And like I said in the plan commission, and tonight, and I talked to the town attorney, I'm willing tonight, or as soon as the attorney can do it, to sign and write with the deed of that property out there, because I understand that it's been a rumor that people are worried that I'm gonna get this zoned R3 and I'm gonna sell it to another developer who's gonna come and put 70 lots. That is not my intention, that is not my plan. I'll write it and put it in writing and deed it to this property. This property will never split more than 38 homes. As you guys look at these lots, these are very nice sized lots. The back lot in the back corner is 1.39 acres. Those lots all along the channel there are very nice lots. Plus, they have the Fort Wayne City easement that adds another 200 feet to their back. Those lots are going to be 400 foot deep. So I know the paranoia and the panic and the change of this community. We're thinking that it's going to be packed in and there are going to be these little Cracker Jack boxes. That is not the intention whatsoever for me. Just so you can-
Is that it?
I said most of what I wanted to say. We're a little town, right? And I only had a week. If I would have been invited to the meeting September 11th, I could have got a lot more people to come here. I know I could have. I tried, okay? Here's your voters right here. They're gonna tell all their friends what you guys do here. I'm sorry it's a political thing. I wish I wasn't, I'm glad I'm not in your seat. I'm not in your seat, but I think we have time to discuss this. And if I would have been invited to the meeting, it probably would have gone a little different than this, and I wasn't. So I feel like this is your community right here. So there's your voters. We voted for you. This is representative government. Are you going to vote the way we want you to? Are you going to tell us to go pound sand? Go pound sand has to do with go waste your time, when you're a mason. So just telling you, here's your voters.
I don't like being.
I know it might not go against what you want to do, but you should do what we want. So thank you so much for listening to me. I'm really sorry. It touches my heart. You all came on here. Thank you so much.
I did sign again, you heard my spiel.
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard my spiel. I would just echo. I don't think setting precedent is a wild card. A lot of times we're afraid to do anything because everybody says you're gonna set a precedent. So I really do think plans are what you plan to do until you have a reason to change your mind and do something else. So I don't have an issue with that. But I do know what we do does tend to set precedent. The guys that follow you in your seats will look back and say, well, they did it then. And back to my R2, I would only say R2 to me is a little safer than going all the way to R3, and it accomplishes all the same stuff. So I would at least ask you to consider that. Beyond that, I'm gonna sleep just as Marlise is, and probably won't be here too long either, so we're gonna be fine. Thanks for doing what you do.
Thank you, Bill. That's it, okay. I'm gonna open it up now to the council to, actually, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll entertain a motion, then we'll have discussion.
Can I get a clarification, Greg? Are you closing the public hearing?
Yes, the public hearing is closed.
Then are you going out of order on the agenda, or are you gonna wait until the agenda?
Oh, it's
item
down
comes
there?
up? Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going out of order
okay, we're gonna bring that up.
right now. So I'll entertain a motion from the council.
Yeah, I'm gonna move that we approve the agenda with flexibility because we have an agenda item here. That's my first.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Then I call for the question.
All in favor?
Aye. I'm gonna move the approval of the minutes from October 3 as distributed.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Welcome back, glad you're here. Now here's the latest. Israel's ground invasion delayed it seems until next.
Now I'll entertain a motion from the council.
Again, we're talking about ordinance 2023-08.
Yeah. Nothing? Okay, with nothing brought up, it dies.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve it as it lays.
Okay.
Are you referencing ordinance?
No ordinance on the
The
addition.
ordinance that we have in front of us, John, ordinance
Yep.
2023 petition to rezone the acreage of Leo Holding LLC. So we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
discussion.
Thank you. Let's have discussion.
I'm assuming you would like to go here with this.
John, do you have anything?
I've always got something to say.
Yes, you do.
I've, got a wonderful home is laid out here that you presented in the previous meeting. For the public record, in the last, in fact, the minutes that we've approved, we had a discussion in our last council meeting that there were 3 members, it's been this way for years, 3 council members that were on the planning commission. I was one of those members, okay? And I've always thought for years that was kind of odd. It's like packing the court for control. And I'm not saying that was ever the intent, but it you know, even when I was clerk treasurer and so forth, and president of the council and vice president, and all that. I've been 19 years doing public service here one way or another, a couple years out. So I've seen this town really grow. And I want to say your plan is just absolutely, this stuff is just wonderful. I'd be happy for my wife to live in one of those someday, somewhere, or something like that. But it didn't seem right. So because we passed an ordinance, or we didn't pass it, we had a motion, I think I brought it, I think you were the second, Tyler was the second, to reduce that number from 3 members to 2 council members, and we passed that. Mr. Peck was not here, but we passed it unanimous. And so that ordinance is going to come. Anyway, I just chose to step off and I resigned in that meeting so that we wouldn't have this quorum business going on up there. So that's being said, but I was here prior to that. And I voted absolutely in support of this in the previous meeting. I've heard things tonight, and I've talked to people since. Mr. Kuhn, I absolutely believe you're an honorable man. I am like other people. I mean, I'm age 78, and my days are definitely, all of our days are numbered, but I'm closer to going to see the Lord than statistically than maybe Scott is, for example, sitting next to me. And so I taught school for 44 years, most of it in Fort Wayne. And I know what packed classrooms look like. And I know that Leo's school system says something totally different. But as the topic was brought up, it's probably gotten the short end financially on some things along the way. Okay? And maybe that'll get addressed one of these days. Your idea sort of 38 lots coming down from the 43 or 44 that was discussed originally, that's absolutely all in good faith. And when you say that you would be happy to put a restrictive covenant or whatever right in the deed, I'm sure, where did you go? I know that's not the right term. You're moving on me, brother. But
He could do a written commitment that
Yeah.
would get recorded.
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand that could be the case. Here's my concern. We had an opportunity for senior housing in this town at one time, and we still need senior housing. And senior housing brings no children, brings tax revenue to school systems and to the town. It's like an annuity, and it's something that's needed in the town. But if we go to R3 zoning on this situation, I do think we're setting a precedent. And Mr. Hartman's comment, to your comment, yes, there can be change, and it can be good reason to it. A master plan is not bulletproof. There's nothing bulletproof about it. I guess my thinking is, I would like to see you, and I'd like you to consider cutting your lots back, which is going to drive your cost. But if we go ahead, and I may be the only one to say this, because this is a change from what I was thinking and voted before. If we don't look at that as being a setting precedent with all of the acreage that lies around that particular area, I do think we're setting a precedent. And while this development would go forward and look probably a great deal like the wonderful things that you presented for us, I believe that the other surrounding properties could point to this, and it would be difficult for future plan commissions and councils to probably say no to that. And that bothers me a lot. So for that reason, that and a couple of other things here that's just going through my mind, I think it's appropriate for this council to maybe, I'm not making a side motion or anything like that, trying to divide this out, but I think we would be wise to table this, to have further input in regard to perhaps, Mr. Kuhn, what you could do to modify the number of lots or something that would meet R1. If you thought that that would still be economically feasible, what that might do to drive costs, those kinds. I think we would be wise to engage in that line of discussion. And I hate to do that, man, because you're a good guy. I know one ought to see one. You're an honest man, I believe. And yeah, so council members, I'm for tabling and looking at what could be done maybe by Mr. Kuhn to make that look like R1. That's my thinking. And that is absolutely, I apologize to you.
You're right.
But
For your record, I have zero interest in development in an R1 house.
Okay.
I'll sell the property because it doesn't.
Okay.
You can't put in the road and the curb and the gutter and all the infrastructure and then you end up with that amount.
Okay, and I get that. That's where my head is now. It wasn't that way, as you know, 3 weeks ago or whatever it was.
I never mentioned R1 last.
Oh, no, I know that.
R3.
I'm not suggesting that, I'm saying that's what it's zoned at right now. I'm concerned about the density that could come to surrounding properties, so that's my thought. And if this moves forward, I'll be a no vote because of that, and that's not popular.
Thank you, John.
Darn, but that's where it is. Maybe you're next.
No, I just said thank you. I'm for it. I'm for growth. I'm for housing additions. I do like they put a number of 38 on it. I should have put that in my motion. We need growth. We don't have it. And as far as our schools go, when our kids went to school here, they had a lot of outside people register their kid and come in. Is that still happening?
Yes.
So there's yeah, thank you, that's the word. Out of district kids, or they can pay and still come in. So if we have the growth and we have the kids, that should stop first. That's my opinion, nothing more. I think it should be the school for our kids, not out of district kids. If we can't fill it, out of district kids are fine. You know, that's just me. I'm not on the school board, so I don't get a say in it.
I could be out of line. I'm a school board guy, but I'm also student services, and I know exactly how that works. So yes, East Allen does still take transfer students in, and students that live in the district have first choice. The problem is when you take one in, they're here for the long haul. They don't make that decision each year. So if you come in as a second grader, no matter how many kids you have, you stay. So there's some impact, but you can't just send them away because they.
No, they could stop it at least from future.
Thank you.
I didn't know that, Bill, but
Thank you, Bill. Scott?
that's all I got.
Tyler?
I said my piece in the other meeting. I don't think any of the audience has changed, so.
Brian?
I'm kind of along the lines with Mr. Eustis. I guess, Mr. Kuhn, you mentioned a couple times, I think during the zoning meeting, you were more R 2.1-ish. Is that something that would be possible too?
I consider R2. I mean, I think that R1, the way I understand it, is you do some calculations, you can get somewhere between 29 and 30 lots, and I think he spoke on that. R2 would be maybe 36 or 37, and the R3 that I'm asking is one lot more, 38.
No, I understand. I think most of the people sitting out there, and I think John mentioned it, it's the precedent that would be set, the surrounding developments, land. I'm not saying I disagree with the development.
My wife left, when I walked out the door, and she told me this in many of my other ventures. God has a plan. So whatever the plan is what the plan is. So when I walked out the door and walked in this, that was my motto. Whatever happens, happens.
That's a good motto.
Can I ask for a point of clarification? The motion on the floor is R3.
Yes.
If it were to go to R2, we would have to restart.
I can just withdraw.
I'm saying we would have to rewrite the ordinance to be in compliance with the R2 motion.
I think you could amend them, you could amend the, I think we can amend the ordinances at the table. You'd have to vote to do it in one reading.
Do we have to go back to plan commission though again?
No.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay, well, I was a part of the master plan back in 2011 when it got started here in this area right here. And it got adopted back in 2012. Okay, the zoning that we have in our town has been changed a little bit over the years. We had a small group of us that were working on that years ago. But the zoning was actually brought up and adopted in this town back in 1997 when we became incorporated, okay? So 1997 to now. I don't think that the people that that put that zoning into effect knew what this place was gonna be turning into at this point in time, okay? How would they? Just no different than the 5 of us sitting up here right now have no clue what's gonna happen 30 years from now, right? So, with that being said, I think the zoning isn't as important what we're dealing with tonight as it is the commitment for Mr. Kuhn that he gave us that the lots already went down from 44 to 38. That is extremely important to me. R2 is only gonna get us one less lot in there. It's gonna be 37, okay? So with that being said, his commitment to keeping his word, and which we are also going to follow up in contract. So through our lawyers, so he's not going to go against his word on what he tells us tonight, for 1 or 2 different reasons. One, I think he is a good person, and I think when he came to me that first day and we drove around town for 45 minutes looking at the school systems and looking at our other additions, and we drove through other parts of the whole incorporated part of Leo, and we talked about things that he wants to do between now and 5 years down the road. He doesn't want to come in here and upset this town council, the plan commission, or the people sitting in here right now. So the difference between R2 and R3 to me really isn't anything, because I don't think it's going to set a precedence at all. I think what it's going to do is basically give this man one more lot, and it's not going to make a difference what goes on across the road or down the road. I mean, because every addition, every piece of property bought is separate. It's different. Everything is looked at different, okay, for one reason or another. So, with that being said, I'm going to support the R3 to move forward tonight. I don't think it's fair to him for one more lot to put him through the whole another month of meetings to get this done. I know that it's going to disappoint some of you, my decision, but you know, because obviously, you know, someone in here just said something about we're your voters and you do what we tell you to do. Well, no, that's not how it works. You put us into office to do the best of our ability. And trust me, I've looked at this from one side to another. I've talked to our attorneys. I've talked to other developers. And this is going to be a good thing for our town. These houses are, my understanding, no less than 500,000 and up. So these aren't something that are going to be eyesores. These aren't going to be Cracker Jack boxes. They're going to increase the value of this town, okay? One thing about the Envision Group that I got to add too is when we did this, we put out 3,000 different mailers to the people in this town back then. And believe it or not, the commitment, the people sitting in this town represent what happened with those 3,000 mailers. We got 1,800 mailers back out of 3,000, and I think that's awesome. It shows commitment, it shows love for this town. So we took those 1,800 mailers and we went down through there and we marked everything down that you people wanted and what you didn't want. And what you didn't want was industrial parks, you didn't want low housing, you didn't want trailer courts, okay? And so you wanted that tax base to help our town grow, come off the backs of our small businessmen in the town and our property tax. That's where you wanted the growth of this town to come off of. So if you're not growing, you're dying. And I've had this speech in here before when Lakes of Leo was getting going. And we don't have the same mentality against that one as we have against this one. This one is more of an R2 or R3 thing. It's a different mentality with it. But it's all the same. It's for the growth of this town. And it's just like the last project, the big project we did downtown. There was a lot of push against it for one reason or another. And now that it's done, we don't get anything but compliments and a lot of good sentiment over the whole outcome of it. And I think that's what's gonna happen here. I think 5 years from now, when it's done, 4 years, it's gonna be something you're gonna be proud of to drive by. And the people that it might bring might be other people setting up here. So, I'm in support of it. And that's all I have.
Mr. President, I move to have an amendment to ordinance number 2023-08, which has in it section 1 that talks about the area described is hereby designed in R3, medium density residential. And my amendment is to change that wording from 2 places actually. In that place to read R2, okay? That's gonna be my motion. May I withdraw that for just a moment?
Yeah.
I'd like to move that we waive the reading of this ordinance in its entirety, because we've not done anything like that this evening.
I'll second that.
Okay? And then I call for that question.
All in favor?
Aye. And now, Mr. President, I move that we take section 1 and modify that to read the area described as follows, is hereby designated in R2. Okay? And the other place in the whereases, I'm gonna go down 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 whereases, where it says, whereas the Leo Cedarville Plan Commission has recommended the approval of the rezoning petition with a limit of 44 residential lots. I'm going to make that, I just want to strike that, I think, entirely. Do we not? Because,
May I speak to that?
I'm sorry?
May I speak to that, please?
You may, yes, please.
Yes, ma'am.
I need guidance.
So the sentence here where it refers to 44 residential lots, it is a recap of the Plan Commission findings and recommendations. So there's no need to waive it, it's simply a statement that says, the Leo Cedarville Plan Commission, whoops, there's a typo, has recommended the approval of rezoning petition with a limit of 44 lots.
Okay.
It's a recommendation, but you don't have to take it.
You're right.
It's just a statement of fact.
So my only change would be that we would change the wording from, everything else looks appropriate to me, from R3 to R2. That's my amendment. And that requires a second, or it dies.
And Greg, is it okay to say something? Whatever's appropriate.
We have a motion on the floor.
I'll second that.
My discussion point, if I may speak to my motion, is that Mr. Kuhn, to go one less lot at 37, if that's the way it works out, I think you're going to be able to live with that from what I'm reading the conversation. And I think that's a good place maybe for us to land as council. And again, I apologize for the way it's kind of going, but that's, I think, a good compromise for me that I can live with.
Please let me say this, and I'll leave if you tell me, I promise. Are you saying one less lot because of something I said?
No, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Kuhn up here just said, Bill, he just said R2 will get him 37 lots.
R2 could be
R3,
50.
but he's not wanting to do that.
But he won't lose one. You're saying that it's gonna cost him a lot.
R2, the maximum would be 37 lots.
Why?
Because of the frontage.
Because of the frontage.
No. The engineer will figure that out a lot quicker than me. I only said 38 because that's what he was starting with. It would allow up to 50 depending
So
on.
I'm just listening to what you told me earlier. You said I'd lose a lot at R2.
No, if he wanted to keep it exactly that way and not to extend the street, not move boundaries, he could cut a lot out and it would take care of it. I would never do that if I was a developer.
Or zoning R2.
Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm just
being honest with everybody.
working with my information.
You're being
I'm not an engineer, but I know 37 isn't his limit.
Mr. Kuhn, you're absolutely being honest.
Greg,
You're an honest man.
Instead of R3 with a deed, Greg, instead of R3 with a deed, why not R2 with an immediate variance?
I was just saying, no, just 38 lots. You can call it PT if you want to, I don't care what you call it.
The number, R2, R3 doesn't matter. It's going to be 38 lots. That's what he's agreed to.
But if it's R2 with a variance, so he gets 38 lots, then that's.
So what he's saying, Greg, is it gets zoned R2, he puts in a variance, it gets approved for the
Exactly.
extra lot, it's as is.
He doesn't need a
Exactly.
variance for an extra lot. I mean, you'll see it.
Well,
right.
If it's R2.
He'll figure that out.
Okay. I'm going to call on my town attorney for some guidance here. I think he's got something.
I was just gonna at some point out the fact that if you do approve this R3, and I am not advocating one way, that's not my role here, just to make sure everybody understands. I want to give you your option on your tools. You can approve it, but you can approve it with conditions, and a condition could include filing, agreeing to a thing called a written commitment that actually gets recorded and it runs with the land, meaning it would be binding on a subsequent purchaser as well. So you could approve the ordinance and state something like that is subject to the applicant providing a written commitment satisfactory to the town attorney, which provides that no more than X number of lots shall be developed on the parcel.
And that was, my understanding, that was going to happen no matter what here.
I mean, I don't know. You know, Mr. Bailey was,
Motion. You can
Yes,
make that as a motion.
it would be made in the motion.
yes, if you want to go that way. I'm not saying that's what you should or should not do.
Okay. But right now, we got a motion on the table for R2. So, and we have a second. And we still have discussion.
Mr. President, so I was on, I was on those very things that you talked about, the envision plan, and, you know, I attended, to my knowledge, all of those things and participated in the dot plots, like the Fed does today. All of that, and saw how that developed and so forth. I've simply coming up with a compromise, because by going to R2, that would still allow this particular development, from what I can gather, to move forward with a written commitment that would be binding and follow the land. And it would not set the R3 precedent for the surrounding properties, which would cause the possibility of more density, is my understanding. And I think I can live with that, and that's why I made that motion to amend to R2.
So my question is, since we're still in discussion period, if R3 is such an evil factor here, and it's setting precedents in our town and our incorporated limits, then why don't we have a zoning meeting to get rid of it totally? Why do we have R3 in Allen County, period? And why do we not set a precedence here and then have another meeting where we completely get rid of R3 if it's such a devil's advocate here?
May I respond to that?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's evil. I think when God created us, He gave us a mind, and He gives us wisdom, and He gives us discernment. He gives us the ability to pray to Him for wisdom and discernment, and He gives us the ability and the skill set to listen to people that will be impacted by the things in government that we choose to do. Okay?
What impactment are we doing other than we're approving growth of our town? And again, I gave you my 2 cents worth. I don't think this is going to set precedents all over our town. But I don't see the impactment. We're putting 500 to 1 million plus homes. We're probably going to employ some of the people in this room. And we're also inviting other people to move into our community like we all did. So I really don't see the precedent set. I mean, if we were putting in a trailer court, then yeah, I could see the precedents being set. But, or if we were putting in, you know, a factory, then yes, I could see the precedent set. I could see the factories going up north along there every time someone wanted to sell their property, right? But I don't see that. I see 500 to $1 million plus homes going in, and he's already reduced it from 44 to 38, so he's showing a commitment here. And he's willing to sign documentation that says he will not stray from that. And our attorney just said that we can have documentation signed that even if he sells it to somebody else, you can't stray from that. So I don't understand the problem here.
Okay, so I don't think I'm going to respond to that, if I may. So while I don't think there's a problem, I think there's a difference in where you and I are seeing the differences. I see a concern in terms of where future growth goes and what some other developer might be able to choose to do.
Well, they
down the
run
road.
through us before they do
Excuse
anything.
me, I still have the floor. And as a result of that, this future person or developer that would come in, for example, probably wouldn't make the marketing mistake that I think you probably made when you put your sign out there prematurely.
Well, can I touch on that?
You know, and hang on.
No, not right now.
And all I'm saying, that in hindsight, we make mistakes. That probably was a marketing mistake for you. But regardless, to me, it is a matter of precedence for other people, whether this man will be the developer of other properties or not. I mean, that's my thought.
Okay. So we have a motion for R2 change, and we have a second. So is there any more discussion?
Hey, I got a question. Is it Mr. Harradine?
Yes.
Question for you.
Yeah.
R2, R3, on that land, R2, I've heard 50, I've heard 37. How many lots can go on that property at R2?
He could get more if he were to minimize lots along the waterway, the lots on the south side. He could probably get up to 45 in there. He's making those really nice, really large lots. Estate size lots, which were the ones that match the R1. And then looking at your ordinance a bit ago, I know people are worried about packing them into the Cracker Jack. 70-foot wide lots, 9,000 square feet. That's not bad. You have an R4, which is 40-foot wide lots. And so if you're packing them in, that's where you're going to pack them in. So I think R2, I think there's a difference of, like I said, maybe one lot if we kept what we have and went back to the drawing board. But again, I agree with the R3 with the written commitment. I think is the way to go. I don't think you're setting a precedent because every parcel's different. Every developer comes in with different ideas. I think he's got a great idea.
Can I pass this? I printed these out for the planning commission. Am I allowed to hand these out? You guys want to see them?
Is this the time for that?
I printed off some, has anybody heard of Whisper Rock? It's a housing development up in Fort Wayne. It's a very nice developer. When I look at these lots, and I'm learning as I go, there's none that are the same. When you guys look at these, some of these lots, and these are $1 million homes. Look at the square footage on those. And as you flip through that packet, you'll see other developments that are like that. And while I'm speaking, I'd like to talk about my sign. So, the reason I put the sign up is because when the bridge was closed, the grass was this tall and it looked awful because nobody mowed it. So I took my zero turn over there and I mowed it one day. First time I'm mowing it, a neighbor walks across the street. She asked me, she says, "Can you tell me what's going on over here?" She said, "I heard there's low-income housing coming in over here." And I said, "No, it's not low-income housing. I actually have a print in my truck." And I showed it to her. And then I left and I never thought about it. Well, the next time I came over, the exact same thing. Another neighbor came over and said, "Sir, can you tell me what's going on? I hear there's low-income housing coming in the neighborhood." And I said, "No." So the reason I put the sign up is I'm not trying to hide anything, obviously. I want everybody to see there's no low-income housing coming in. Here's the size of the lots. I'm not trying to put 70 lots in there. The reason I put it in is to try to be as open and honest with anybody that wants to know. It's not that I'm trying to jump the horse or I feel that I'm a developer, this is how I am. I'm not that guy. I'm not here as a big city developer trying to tell anybody in this room this is how it's gonna be. I'm here to, I feel, build the nicest community for the Leo area. And I go back to, I think of elderly people like my mom and dad, they don't want a big yard. We have R1 size houses all along the river, they're beautiful. Somebody's gonna buy it, maybe it's a young family, got a job at Parkview, and they got a nice backyard. My mom and dad, they don't want to mow that nice, they don't want a big yard. That they want to live in a nice development with sidewalks and walk around. So I'm trying to mix it all together. And as you guys look at some of these other ones, that's how they are.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Good comment.
Any more discussion? Okay, then I'm gonna call for the question.
Wait. Do we need to make another amendment to the motion?
There's two motions on the floor right
I
now.
understand, but I want to make sure that if the 38,
I don't know what the second one is, but the first one is to amend the ordinance to strike those portions that refer to R3 and
move to R2.
change them to R2, and then to strike the business about 44 as the limit. The other, what's the other one?
No, so we got amendment, and then we got a motion. My question is, do I need to make another amendment to lock in if they won't give you a written commitment, or can we do that after we would pass this? That we'd give a written commitment that's tied to
All John is asking to do is to change the thing that's up for consideration. You would then get a chance, someone would have to
So once we
move
pass
past that.
Once we pass the ordinance, though, then we can make another motion that they're gonna give us a written commitment that's gonna stay with the land. That's my question. At what point do we have to add?
I think it's best to add that condition before the final vote on whatever gets passed.
That was my question.
All he's asking us to do is to change the thing that's up for consideration. Someone would have to even file a motion to approve that as amended. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I hate these. I hate these amendments to the motions.
First off,
I think we can get through this.
And we get through this. This is no-brainer stuff. None of
I
it.
thought the first motion was.
first
for
off,
R3.
let's, we got a motion on the table right now, we got a second on changing it from R3 to R2. Okay, is there any more discussion? Call for the question. All in favor?
Which is to change it to R2. I vote yes.
Okay, nays?
Nay.
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 What was,
No, wait a minute.
What was the vote?
I voted for it.
Okay, so, did you get that? So there was two fours and 3 against. Okay, so that motion fails.
Now we need to add,
If you want to.
I would like to make amendment to the original ordinance that we will have a written commitment that gets assigned to the deed of the land, that there will be no more than 30, what are we at? What's the number?
38.
38 houses built on that property.
Everybody clear on that?
second that.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, I'll call for the question then. All in favor for the new amendment? Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous. Okay. Now, I need a motion to approve and adopt the resolution that we have been talking about.
He has that.
You have it?
Yes.
Who's the second?
I seconded that.
Okay, I'm gonna call for the question. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous.
No, I said no.
Oh, well, sorry, John, I'll play the hearing game. I didn't hear that one.
So the second motion was for the written.
Approval for the R3.
Oh, approval.
It was 401 based on the ordinance that's before you at council, which is 2023-08.
R3 with 38 lots.
With 38 lots written. Okay,
Commitment turned in.
commitment,
Commitment,
okay? All right,
the commitment letter.
so now we move down to approval of the minutes for October 3rd, 2023 regular meeting.
I think we did that.
We did that.
Okay,
Clerk treasurer.
clerk treasurer then.
Here, get that going.
Vouchers being passed around, amount of $42,178.09.
75 cents, isn't it? Is it 75 cents?
75 cents, 42,178.75. I'll make a motion that we approve the vouchers of 42,178.70.75.
I'll second that.
Who moved? Thank you.
Mr. Whitmer.
Okay, did we have a motion to accept?
We have a motion and a second on the floor.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, the 2024 budget adoption and ordinance.
Adopted budget of $1,458,622. Adopted tax levy of $752,000. And I just need everyone to sign.
Okay. Can I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to accept the 2024 budgeted ordinance at 1,456,622.
$458,622.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
And
All in
tax
favor?
to-
Aye.
Okay, we got quote for radar speed signs.
This was a request to Andrew, our officer, several meetings ago. You guys have just thrown out there to, when we were having problems with speeding, which haven't stopped, but it was just suggested that we look into the signs that hang on posts, like you see around other communities nearby. And this was the quote that, that he brought forth for those signs. And I just,
Would we ever figure out with our ones that we have in the shed or barn or?
it's actually out on Amstutz,
Oh,
Oh, Rex is out there?
the speed
I
sign
think he brought it back today to be charged.
to charge, but it's going back out when it's charged up.
Just so you know, I know his name is Rex.
Rex, oh, the speed thing is named
Rex.
Rex.
His
Oh,
name is
Good
Rex.
to know.
Tim,
Well,
it's watching you.
it's out there.
Yeah.
So we've been moving it a bit here and there as we, just to kind of alert people to slow down.
Awesome.
We're also moving the speed bumps around. We're moving them off of Beulah and Donald this
Yep,
week.
they're
Maybe
off.
they moved.
They're gone.
Yeah, that was the plan this week.
And we kept all of them?
Yeah, we
didn't
never
lose
did get the one back.
any? No, okay.
So I just put this in front of you. It's not necessarily that we have to have these, but you had asked for the quote and Andrew brought them.
Okay. Any discussion on the signs, or you want
How
to?
much are they?
$66.99 for, it says
Is he
for
back
two
there?
signs,
Andrew?
and the solar ones are 300 more.
There he is.
Oh,
Solar
oh,
versus
maybe go back.
battery.
You want to speak to this?
Yeah, so I know, Councilman Jarbo had mentioned Huntertown signs. These are Huntertown signs that I got from the Huntertown officer, who got them from his town manager. Those are the signs that they use to put around town.
And they're permanently mounted to a,
Not permanent, but you can actually take them off. They do get mounted to a pole, and then they have special brackets and special tools, so not anybody can just take them off.
Yeah.
That's probably.
But yeah, so you can take those off and mount them around town wherever you see fit. You can also put whatever message you want on the bottom if somebody's speeding. I know he likes to mess with the firefighters in Huntertown, so when you speed by their station, it says, "Shh, the firefighters are sleeping." But you can put whatever you want on there. So those are the quotes. One was with batteries, one was with the solar. I think the difference between the battery and the solar was pretty negligible.
It's $300 difference,
Yeah.
with the solar being 300 more. But then you don't have the price of the batteries and replacing them and all of that too.
That's something I would look into, is replacing the batteries.
So I know our current
speed sign is kind of big and bulky, so it limits where you can put it effectively, whereas these are, I mean, they're the size of this table. So you can put them, they're much easier to count places.
Okay.
And this quote was for 2 signs.
I believe so, I can't remember what this.
Yes.
Yeah. Any other questions?
So they're only 3,300 a piece, is that what, if it's for 2 signs, roughly 30 for 400 a piece?
Something like that.
Do we want all 4?
I didn't hear you.
It's with solar better.
You still have the batteries.
I mean, you do either way, I know.
It's just you don't have to bring it back here to charge it.
What's your thought, solars or batteries?
I wasn't here to pitch either one. I was just, you wanted the quote and price points, so I provided them.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
It's probably worth the difference in my view for the solar to add that component, my thought.
Batteries aren't cheap.
Well,
You're gonna get batteries no matter what, it's just a matter of whether you have to bring it back here to charge it or not.
Right.
and you know,
That might be a different battery too. I mean, I don't know, that'd be something worth looking into. Is this something we wanna talk about and look into further or not?
I think so, after last Saturday, watching the speed on
Yeah, isn't it
in front of
nice?
the plaza,
Yeah.
yeah, we need to address this.
Yep.
Funding wise, come out of general.
I'll sit down there every day.
Okay.
We were looking at,
We were looking at, we were
Semi.
lit or
it was
Q
lit
capital.
yeah, no, we have it in 2 different places, so, and or general.
Did you say MVH?
No, lit or capital.
Okay.
And we only have one of Rex's, right?
Right.
And I'll make a motion to buy 2 solar signs,
up to 7.
up to $7,000.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
So that was for the solar.
Yep.
Yes, 2 of them.
Got it.
Okay. Amstutz Road speed, discuss lower speed limits.
Okay, so I've had a couple of residents contact me about Amstutz Road. We did put the speed sign out there. The suggestion from a couple of people who live in the neighborhood right there at Hostler and Amstutz is that now that the new sidewalk is done there, a lot of people are using that sidewalk to walk to school, but it's not safe crossing Amstutz to get to the sidewalk. And that people are driving really fast when they're coming, especially north to south is my understanding. So when they get past Donald, they're flying, and then they still, by the time they get to Hostler, they're hitting it hard. And it was suggested, since that's a 40 all the way from Hostler up, and the sign right there says 40, that the council consider dropping it at Donald from 40 to 25, which is, I gave you all a copy of the Indiana code under school transit systems specifically, and it says that the town council may establish speed limits if it's adjacent to the school zone. You have it marked as a school zone and you can lower it, but not lower than 20. But those are your restrictions, and that it was suggested that we consider doing that to slow people down in that stretch between Donald and Hostler.
Isn't it 35 at the
It's
horse
40.
ditch? It's right there at the
40.
horse ditch.
45 from county line all the way down to Slaughter, just south of Slaughter, it drops to 40.
And it's 40 right when you come off Hostler, it says 40 right there.
Okay.
So
The-
people just hit it.
I think the problem is that the county dropped that speed limit coming across the county line, and so now you're running 45. You used to be able to run 55 or 50, and then they dropped it to, and people are going, like, they're tired of going that slow. I mean, it's nothing out there, it's farm fields, you know? So, when they come into town, they're already doing 45, and they just stay there, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, you've been running that since the county line if you're doing everything right.
So we want to lower it to
So in order
35?
doing this, it would require an ordinance, so I'd have to prepare an ordinance and bring it back to you. I couldn't do it tonight, that's why I put on here discussion. The other piece of it is I've reached out to NERC, who does traffic studies, and they are pulling data to make sure, to see where we're at. They're looking at this spacing, and you may see those things go across the road and then detract a little bit to what people actually do on a normal day. And so when I come back for the next meeting, I can hopefully bring you some more information, and if you want to entertain this idea, then we can prepare an ordinance. If you don't, then I'll just drop it. But I wanted to bring it to you.
Well,
What are you
we
thinking?
still got a problem in Pioneer Village that we've talked about for 2 meetings, and what have we done about it? That's a housing addition. We've done nothing.
Well, there
So
goes,
that should be our first priority.
there goes the money that I tried to get into the budget to pay for, or I did get into the budget, so to get part-time people working in this town running speed. You know, that's how you're gonna.
They're gonna still
How you're gonna
speed.
get it knocked down.
But then and there, we talked about in the last meeting, permanent speed bumps, a few of them. And to me, that's the answer right now. Everybody hates them. And our town maintenance guy was here and said 2 of them properly marked would be no big deal. And now somebody else called and complained, so now we're just talking about it. And we haven't handled our local housing edition right here that is packed full of kids.
Right.
Packed full. And we just keep jumping around. Let's handle one,
Yeah.
let's move to another.
So-
Let's stop jumping.
So what kind of speed would you guys be thinking about? 35, 30 mile an hour
For what?
for Amstutz?
I don't think we do anything with it myself, but
So Pioneer, you want me to bring back quotes on permanent speed bumps?
it was, I can't remember his name right now.
Brent?
Brent. It was his idea, and he does the plowing. And
I
I
would
can't
go to-
take him up and,
I would go to a speed, to a more, like,
Right now, we're talking about Amstutz road speed, okay? So the discussion is to lower the speed limit. And we got 30 mile an hour, is it 35 coming in off of Hostler?
It's 40.
30, is it 40?
Yeah, it's
Until we get to Matei, and I think it drops down to 35 or
Oh, that
30.
way.
No, it's 30 at Robbins Hill.
Mine's 30,
Yeah.
mine's 30. It changes to 30 at Pioneer Village.
Right.
but we're talking Amstutz Road heading north. Amstutz Road
Right,
heading
so
north
it's
is
30
40.
going this way and 40 going
I'm just
this way.
comparing.
Yeah.
I'm comparing. So, you know, I mean, it's one of those things where I have no problem lowering it if that's what we have to do for safety, but then we have to enforce it. Yes, sir.
I live, technically the third house, second house, if you will,
Right,
just trying
right.
that corner one.
Right.
For probably the first 30 minutes after school, it turns into a drag strip out.
Sure, we know.
The blue little WRX and the little red truck about clipped me getting my mail, which I have to cross the street to get.
Right.
They were literally
And,
passing.
and that's why we're discussing it tonight. We're gonna, you know, and that's why, you know, we've talked about hiring people off duty to enforce things in our town.
I will
And that's
offer
why
my driveway.
we've talked about putting permanent speed bumps in. You know, we're trying to do something about it, but I agree with Scott that we need to just do it and get it done.
I say we draft the ordinance down to 30. It's
From-
unfortunate from from Hostler, from 40 down to 30, from Hostler up to Donald. Because 40
Amstutz to Donald?
Yes. To drop it down to 30.
Or
The hard part,
Hostler.
from Hostler
To
heading
Donald.
north to Donald is
On
30.
Amstutz.
On Amstutz is 30 mile an
Right.
hour.
Okay,
Are you making that a motion?
I will make that a motion.
I'm gonna be your second.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
okay,
The motion is to draft and to prepare an ordinance. for-
Yes.
right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, and
I-
I'll
I was the second.
come back to this one.
Okay, so then while we're on this subject, then I want to dovetail into what Scott, it's not even on our agenda, but just real
All right.
quick. Do we want to have our town manager, just, all we need is a general consensus on this. Have our town manager look into 2 permanent speed bumps for Pioneer Village.
thought we did that already, but
I would like to see,
I don't think we did, I think,
you weren't here.
oh, okay.
I would like to see us change that from a speed bump to, they're called speed humps. They give you a flat place on the top. It's a pretty aggressive up, flat, pretty aggressive down. And the only reason is from a plowing perspective, it makes life 1,000 times easier.
Okay.
I like that.
I mean, you're talking instead of an 18-inch wide, now you're probably 6 foot wide, if I remember correctly.
Right.
But if you use it properly at some sort of crosswalk or someplace in general that we can get, then it makes sense and it works better.
Okay, so we have a
That's
general
good
consensus
wisdom.
on that?
Good wisdom.
Okay, good enough. So the next thing is a NDOT request to plant trees on State Road 1 curve by the Cedarville Park.
Yeah, so we've had this on the agenda for several meetings in a row. I went back, as you can see, I sent an email back to my contact at NDOT who asked for this. And from his response, because at the last meeting we talked about putting a guardrail further back by those trees, not at the edge of the road, but further back. He thought that was not a good idea, and explained that it would still cause motorist danger. And he also noted that he didn't think there were as many trees missing as he first thought. So at this point, it's kind of up to you to just decide if you want to do anything there or just let it go. It's not like that we have to do it because NDOT asked us.
No,
Okay.
and it was his opinion, and we all have those. There's no rule, there's no nothing, he brought no facts forward. That's his opinion wrote down.
Okay, so we have a general consensus on, we're done with this subject? Thank you. John?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Okay,
Okay, it's off the agenda.
town manager's report?
I sent you all a written report, and I wanted to, it's right here. I did put in front of you after that, just today, I put in front of you elected official training for new officials, those within the last year and those incoming in January. The state passed a new law, it went in effect July 1st, that all elected officials must attend training every other year. It will be documented and posted up on Gateway for all to see if you attend or not. And all newly elected officials are required to take 5 hours of training before they take the oath of office. So they're offering training in December to the people who get elected in November, so that those people have a chance to get some hours in before the oath of office. So I put the training schedule in front of you all, and I did want to mention too that this boot camp in January that they offer, it's a couple of days. It's valuable for any elected officials, not just newly elected. It's a refresher course, it's very informative. I'm happy to sign you all up if you want to go. And in the past, I've attended this and served as someone who gives information to newly elected officials about how town management works and what town managers do. And I would like permission to attend that in January as well with you who go.
Did you get Mr. Jones copies of that too?
I will. I
Okay.
just got this today.
All right, thank you.
So I don't do anything about it, but I wanted you to be aware and mark your calendars.
Okay,
Is there anything else on my manager report or any other questions you might have?
the next meeting is Tuesday, November 7th at 6 p.m. There's a stormwater, board is moved to Wednesdays, at 7:30 in the morning. Their next meeting will be Wednesday, November 8th at 7:30 in the morning. Park Board is November 13th at 5:30 at night. The Plan Commission meeting will be Monday, November 13th if needed at 6 p.m. And the Board of Zoning Appeal will be Monday, November 13th at 7 p.m. if needed. So if there's nothing else or anybody else signed up,
Did you have a public comment section here? Was that an opportunity? I read that earlier.
that's where I just asked if anybody
just
signed up.
Oh, I had to sign up, okay.
Well, you want to sign up? Hop up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
This has to do with, so it's zone 3 now, whatever, the R2, R3, or whatever, but.
R2D2.
I was wondering, with that being out there, was there thought of a sidewalk with that bridge? It looked like there might be a sidewalk that, you know.
Mr. Kuhn expressed in the past that he was willing to put a sidewalk in up to the bridge, but to get a sidewalk across that bridge and into the town would probably be on our town. Okay?
We enjoyed being able to ride our bikes and then get on the trail to Gray Bull and stuff, and where we live on Berkey Drive, I don't go on Highway 1 at all because it's just, I don't want to get killed. But I would love that opportunity someday. See, and when I heard of the people talking about the development of the big plan of trails and everything, I just thought maybe there might be that opportunity to get people, walkers, joggers, bikers into town.
It would have been nice if NDOT would have worked with us on that, and we could have gotten something done when they put the new bridge in. But we weren't invited to that meeting.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Do I have to sign up again or no?
No, just stand.
Just, hey, real quick, I know you took the State Road 1 curve off the agenda. I would just share a conversation I had with the state when I started on council, and it's one regret that I have for not getting done. They won't put a guardrail up, and they say it's because of motorist safety. Motorists have a frame, they have airbags, right? So if that thing bounces, car bounces back into the highway or into State Road 1, they've got more protection than the people that live in that house. And so I would consider, or would ask that you consider, right, putting up a guardrail right past their easement, right? Once the easement ends, if we can do that, we should do that. That's our town.
Well, actually, NDOT was saying, and so was the sheriff's department back in those studies, they told you, me, and Ray, and I can't remember who was on, but it creates a ping pong effect, and it actually causes more damage to the car and the driver.
They still have protection though. That's just my opinion.
I'm just giving you what they told us.
The people in that house, they got 2x4 and 1/2 inch drywall.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what that's worth, right? That's our property, right past their easement, that's us, right?
Yep.
We're the ones that take care of the safety.
I seen the lady on the northeast corner has taken provisions. She's got 2 huge boulders out there. So,
That have a big wall.
yeah.
If I lived there,
Robert, you want to step up again?
Okay, that curve is interests me for a long time, especially since a friend of mine's mother-in-law was the one who ran into the house.
Okay. You don't have to sign up again, Robert.
Okay, why don't we address the speed issue?
Well, it has been addressed. There's been speed bumps put on it, and then the speed bumps, some of them were taken out because the residents.
Too much noise?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've experienced those. I recently took a trip to New England, and as we went through toll booths and stuff, they just took pictures. And then when I got home, I had all these bills because we didn't do the Easy Pass.
We looked into that too. It's
Okay.
extremely expensive, plus the court systems we have right now aren't set up for that. That was my suggestion. It's called a wolf system.
Yeah.
I looked into it, and we were gonna put it downtown because of what
Well,
he
it should be one
experienced
that
this weekend.
four-way stop, okay?
Right, but the system was, if I remember right, the quote was like $20,000. And then our court system's not set up for it, but these are all great ideas, we did look into them.
You know, one of the things I taught my physics students in the winter, you know, when you're sliding, whatever you're looking at, and you got your brake on, that's what you're gonna hit, okay? And how many signs out there have gone? And for $20,000, if that were to save my daughter or somebody, I would be happy. Okay, I mean, I know we spend a lot of money in this town on things I disagree with, but that's another issue. But I think that curve's a major problem. And speed, it isn't looking at the river, it isn't the ping pong, okay? We have, you know, go down 469 or 69, we got Jersey barriers in the center, and if you hit that, you're bouncing into traffic that's doing 80 miles an hour, okay? You know, they shouldn't be doing any more, okay, I tell the kids, when you go through that corner, basic physics, you're gonna speed up, okay? Even, you know, you didn't touch the accelerator, it's a shorter distance and you're gonna go faster. So if you hit it at 40, you'll be doing 50 at the apex, okay? And it's, you know, and when it's slick, I love NDOT or whoever put the rough texture on the road to give it more traction, okay? Especially when it's wet, that's good, okay? But how many people in the last week have gone, or in the last month, have gone through there? And do we like, NDOT keep a stack of signs to put up? It's amazing how many signs get knocked down. I don't know, I think the issue is speed, and
It is.
and the issue appears to be money to address the speed.
It's the speed and driver inattention, a lot of it.
Well-
And the solution, the best solution that Captain Hirschberger, who's now the sheriff of this county, and I came up with at the time, because we were working together on it, was to make that at that time, the street was not closed off, to make that a three-way stop. And that would have settled, that would have took that out, because we'd have had a blinking stop sign, we'd have set that up for that, and NDOT wouldn't have anything to do with it. Their response was, we don't put stop signs on state roads.
Yeah, because NDOT
Remember
isn't
that,
gonna let
Tim?
you do that, is it? NDOT's gonna say no.
Right.
Because it's a state road.
Right,
Well,
but
NDOT
I gave them 6 to 8 to 10 different examples of state roads right off the bat. They were sitting right back in that corner, and I was sitting right up here, and I gave them 10 to 12 different examples where there are stop signs on state roads, and they still didn't want to listen.
Well, that curve, okay, my grandfather worked for Allen County, okay? That curve's been there since 1900s, all right? NDOT needs to address it, they need to do something, but...
And the only reason I'm giving you that information is to let you know that this group of men up here that sat up here at that time, and the group of men that are sitting here now, have talked about it and tried to do things about it. And the higher ups who say they have the responsibility of that don't let us approve the ideas we set before them. So, you know the power of the pen? There you go.
I know the power of the pen.
And you do.
Last thing I'll say, grants. Is there a possibility to get a grant or something for that? You know, you guys got a grant writer on the...
Right here.
Okay. Is there some place we can weasel a grant, okay? And I'll leave it at that.
For
State Road 1?
Yeah.
For the curve, well, it's back to the NDOT thing.
Yeah.
We could raise all the money we want, but it's owned by NDOT.
Right.
We don't own it.
NDOT works for me.
Well, power of the pen, buddy. There you go. Thank you, Robert.
Robert, the only thing I want to say, if I may just in one quick moment, is we've met with NDOT. They're a good bunch of people, they really are, but they don't seem to have a good solution. They've roughed up the road, they've done those kind of things for us. And we've had people complain about some of the bumps that we put in, or that they put in, but they are really a good bunch of people, but it's a difficult curve, and to enforce the speed coming through the town, so I mean, that's a real issue that's going to be on future.
I don't blame
as
NDOT.
well.
I mean, they do good, okay? But
Right.
Yes.
it's, speed is the issue, and
Yes.
that comes from the driver.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of issues and things that you judge for sure. I'm done, sir. I'm losing one engineer.
Okay. So there's nobody else to speak? Anything from the council?
John, are you still hosting side meetings about the fire district and giving out information?
Well, you want to talk about that?
No, I just asked a question, it's yes or no.
The answer is I've attended one meeting about fire district. And I spoke at that meeting.
Just a question.
And I handed out information and my analysis, yes. In fact,
Anybody else have any-
if we'd had the number of people, perhaps.
It was a yes or no, but thank you.
Engaged.
Thank you.
I'm continuing to say if we had the number of people in those meetings of interest tonight, we might have some other things going on in that regard.
I doubt it.
Anything else, John?
No, sir.
I'm good.
Okay.